Hi everybody, I'm Roy Folk and welcome to Savage Lands. Now Savage Lands is a open world game. Now at the time of recording, this game is not yet available on Steam. Its release date is set for March 2015. But I was able to apply to the developers and I was able to get hold of a key. So I've played the game for a few hours, so I don't know much about the game, but I'm quite happy to share with you what I found out so far. Now just a quick look at the top left there. You can see there's three bars. The blue bar is your cold bar. If that goes down to 0, then you start taking damage because you're freezing. It's a frigid world, so one of your enemies is the cold. The next line is the red line, that's your health. And then the other line, which is at 95 already, is your food bar, which really drops really fast. So what I found really difficult about this game is the fact that you really easily run out of food. You run out of food, you start to starve. You do start with a little bit of food and a few bits of tools. So the first thing I want to do is just put the hatchet there. There's 5 hotbar slots. And then there's an inventory there, and there's more inventory is added by having a bag. Now there's different types of controls in this game, and I'll kind of go through it as we go. Now to open my inventory, it's just I for inventory. There's also J for journal, which gives me some recipes for things that we'll look at later in the game. But right, the first thing I want to do is just start collecting some items. So that's a rock. This is a frost fern. Now the frost fern is actually really good to make bandages, because if you fight mobs you can start to bleed. Now to get into the crafting menu, I press K for the crafting menu, and I just want to craft some basic bandages. Now to craft basic bandages, I just select from these options here, basic bandages, and I go craft, and that way I can craft these basic bandages. But I can also craft frost fern bandages, but for that I actually need 4 bandages, so I need to go back to basic bandages and just craft a bit more basic bandages, and I'm using cloth shreds for that. So I now have enough bandages, I think. Oh no, not yet. Need to craft a bit more. Right. Frost fern bandages, I now have enough. Okay. So these bandages, the frost fern bandages, are actually much better than the normal bandages to stop bleeding. Okay, so let's go on and see what we can find. Now, previously when I looked at this map, and I think it's the same map, it's a huge island. I think there was actually a fire somewhere. And we need to be kind of close to the fire. You can make your own fire, but I think on this map there is actually already a fire. Now if you want to run, you can hold down shift and the typical W that you normally use in other similar games. But that tends to really deplete your hunger bar really fast, and you can see how the hunger bar comes down. So that's one of the big enemies in this game, is just hunger. Now it's also cold is also another problem that we find, and you can see how I already dropped to 80% on my cold bar, and if that keeps going down and it hits 0, I'll take damage. If I go into the water, it actually comes down even faster. Now normally, somewhere in this area, there's a fire along the beach, but I'm not sure whether they actually changed the map, and I might be completely wrong, and I might actually be kind of going completely in the wrong direction. But I normally just head down the beach. Now the thing about this game is that if you go deeper inland, you actually get stronger mobs. If you're on the coast, you get kind of weaker mobs. So the idea is that you kind of hang around the fringes, you hang around the beach areas until you build up your armor and your weapons, and you then you can then head out into the interior where there's much stronger enemies. Right, so I'm probably made a bit of a mistake thinking that I can find the fire along the beach, because it used to be kind of somewhere here, but as I say, the map is fairly big, and I think it spawned in different places. Right, so food is a big problem and heat is a big problem, but food is probably becoming a bigger problem sooner. Now, one of the sources of food that I found is animals that's deers. I think it's like deers or something like that, and they are more in the interior of the island. Sometimes they do come to the coast, so I think I just need to kind of see if I can hunt something. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that you can actually hide in the bushes. You can kind of go into the bushes, and if you're hiding in the bushes, then the animals and the mobs don't necessarily see you unless you make a noise. Okay, so it's not looking too good at the moment, finding food, and that's the real challenge in this game, is finding food. Now the crafting menu, to get the crafting menu, you press K to get to the crafting menu, and we will look at the crafting menu soon. Now I'm heading quite deep into the interior, and I'm not too happy to head in too deep. I'm actually hoping to see some deer, because I don't actually want to run into skeletons or any of the dangerous mobs that you find in the interior. And I can see the sea is actually, the coast is actually getting further and further away. You get all sorts of loots from deer, so if you kill a deer, you get deer skin, you get some other loots like bones from them, all of which you need for crafting. Well, if I keep heading deeper into this lands, I might run into something I don't want to run into. So I might start to head back out again, just kind of cutting across and seeing if I can see anything to hunt on the distance. Now I'm keeping the stone hatchet in my hand, because you can use that to chop down trees, but it's also a weapon that you can use. It's not a great weapon, but it's definitely better than using your fists. Now it's still daytime, so the cold meter is dropping, but it's not dropping that fast. If it becomes night, it drops really fast, and I found that I don't really survive very long in this game, but at night time it becomes almost impossible, because you have to stay at the fire, you can't head out to hunt, and you tend to starve really quickly. I think that might be one thing in the game that they might want to rebalance or make a little bit easier, especially for noobs like me, is I really probably having a real struggle finding food and surviving. Okay, so no animals yet. I haven't come across a single deer, but let's keep trying, because we definitely need to hunt deer. Okay, so we're just looking for something to hunt. Now there might be other types of food. I know when you spawn, you start with apples and with nuts, tree nuts, but I don't quite know where you can go to pick tree nuts. The only thing I figured out is to hunt deer, and then of course you could... Okay, is that something behind me? No? No, it's just me walking through the bushes. I'm just very aware of the fact that I have no armor and a very poor weapon. and I don't really want to run into any of the real enemies at this stage. But at the same time, I need to find food, because that's definitely a big problem. So I must admit, this is probably one of the toughest games I played, just to stay alive. I suppose it's not too difficult to learn the game and to get used to the crafting and the other ways. The deer also make us a kind of a sound, like that sound that was just there a moment ago. And if you hear that, they can't be too far off. Yeah, that sound there. Oh, there's a deer there. Now what I want to do is kind of get into the bushes, kind of hide in the bushes. And because it's such a weak weapon that I have, I really need to get about 4 hits in. So I really like them to be really close, and I can now use the time to run up to it. See how quick they run away? Now that guy took 2 hits, so he should be a little bit more damage, and I should be able to get him, providing he doesn't run away again. Okay, got him. Okay, well, there's some food there. There's some hide, leather hide, and something called sinew. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I don't even know what it is. Now there was another deer over this way that I kind of ignored when I hunted his mate. Now as soon as I've hunted maybe a couple of these guys, I should head back to the coast, and it's getting really, my cold bar is coming down a lot, and I'll need to do something about that. But what I can do, when I spawned I had cured meat, and I can actually eat some of that meat, just to see if I can build up a little bit of heat and a little bit of food. But as you can see, even with 3 cured meat, I can't even replenish my food bar completely. So it's quite a tough game actually, in that way, food wise. So I'll basically run around here and I'll hunt animals, and I might actually end up with a false economy, where I'll be hunting animals, but I'm actually losing more health, actually losing more food bars than I'm actually gaining by hunting them. So that makes the game quite tough, and as I said, I don't know if they need to kind of rebalance that. I saw another deer over this way, and then once I got at least a couple of these guys. Looks like he's kind of seeing me, because he's looking up and he's kind of looking around, and I'm sneaking through the bushes, kind of trying to sneak up on him. And the thing is with this stone hatchet, you don't quite get that many hits in before he runs off. Okay, this time it looked like I've cornered him, so I was able to get him before he could run away. Okay, I think I might have enough ingredients to make a kind of a bed, so I'm gonna try to head back to the coast, and that must be that way, and hopefully on my way back I might actually run into more deer. because as I say, food is a big problem. I've already used 3 of my cured meat that I spawned with, and clearly I've only gained 2 meat, and I still need to cook that. And I think the cooked meat is actually not as good as the cured meat. There's actually more deer over there. It's quite tempting to actually go after them because I see them, and the first part of the game I used quite a bit of time looking around and I didn't see any of these guys. And if I can kind of corner them so they can't get up that hill, that's always better. You see how quick they run away? You just can't gain on these guys. You just can't. If they start running, you just can't get them. You have to kind of try to follow them, and you have to try to get more hits in on them. Quite difficult to get them. Look, you see how he's looking around? He's kind of aware there's somebody there, and I'm waiting for him to kind of relax, and then I try to get closer again. And I use the bushes actually to hide in. Okay, that guy's probably going to run into the sea. What I do see about these guys is they kind of run into the water. Okay. Okay, so at least we got a little bit of meat. We got some hides. And we got a little an animal bone. Now, as I say, the water is totally frigid, so I can try to run up to this guy and kill him, and if I'm lucky I'll get 2 hits in, but I need to get out of that water really quickly because my heat bar is going to drop really quickly. Ah, no, I would never get him. See, my heat bar is going to start dropping really soon. So what I need to do is I need to try and make a campfire, and then I'll try to make a kind of a bed, because apparently you're supposed to spawn on this, you know, you're supposed to spawn when you die back on a bed, and believe me, this game you just die so easily. Right, so starting to chop off some trees, so chop down some trees. So I used the hatchet. I think you can use other things as well, but you can definitely use the hatchet for this. So first I chop down the tree, and then I basically chop it into logs. Now I also need to kind of look at my menu, my journal, which I activate by pressing J. And the small tree is giving me just as many logs as the big tree was giving me. And these guys just decide to roll away. My inventory is full. Okay, so I press J and I want to make a campfire. So for a campfire I need 6 stone, 3 wood logs and 2 flint. Okay, so I click on the campfire and I press E to place it. Now let's see. Apparently I don't have too much. Let me see what I have already. So by pressing E I can actually apply what I have in my inventory to make the campfire. So what do I need? I need 3 more stones. Now you can get stones from rocks, but normally I use a rock hammer for that. Oh my goodness, look at that, I'm starving. Better eat the apple. Of course I also need the fire to... I'll eat another apple.